Welcome to Beyond the Policy, the podcast where we go past the fine print and into the real stories that shape how we live, work, and protect what matters most. I'm Matt Karaffa, risk advisor, consultant, and founder of the Be Better Foundation, where each week sit down with clients, colleagues, and industry voices to talk about business, life, and the passions that drive each of us and the areas we can all work on to truly be better. This is Beyond the Policy. Welcome to Beyond the Policy. Excited to have Nick Scott joining us today. So thanks for taking the time to be here. So before we get into it, just take a little bit. You've had an interesting path to get where you are today. So maybe tell us how it started and where you are.
Well, Wild Side Brewing Company started in my barn, and this was 2015-ish, 16. And before that, I was a home brewer for a long time, and I was just always into creating. I had a garden. I liked wine. The beer boom, really, the second beer boom kicked off around that time, and everyone was getting into home brewing. Well, not everybody, but us nerds, us people in our garages, filling up plastic totes and stuff. And so I was doing that, and I was working at Wood County Hospital here in town, and I've been there for 3 or 4 years at the time, Flower before that for 11 years. And was just always looking for something to do. I've always been a creative type of person. I had an outlet. I played guitar for a long time before that. I was always into writing. But so I needed an outlet, liked to create, liked to cook, and got my barn licensed as a brewery. And started a little membership group that kept growing and growing until I got a storefront in Grand Rapids, Ohio, and now it's been 11 or 12 years later, and here we are.
Yeah, I think our first interaction, I tried your beer at a Hops and Vine fundraising event at the hospital where you were employee, part-time brewer at the time.
Yeah.
And I think maybe within that next year, kind of made the leap to
I think it was that year.
Go out on your own. So, maybe take a step before the brewing healthcare space, what you did, and then kind of what it was like making that jump to steady paycheck, healthcare to restaurant business.
Right.
What that was like.
I was an anesthesia tech for all those years, which is somebody who just helps set up surgeries for the anesthesia team. And it was very steady. It was a high, energy job. It was very exciting. And it was nice having that, steady paycheck, but I necessarily wasn't the best wake up at 5 a.m. person, in the group that I was in. They could always tell I was probably going to end up doing something different, But my first job, I was lucky to live next to my best friend's mom was the director of surgery for Flower Hospital in ProMedica. And she got us when we were the day we got our workers permit was having us push beds and clean bathrooms. So one of my first jobs was working at the hospital, and it kind of just led on from there and there to where I just started going to school and doing that sort of thing.
Yeah. So going from that job which you knew the whole time into quitting that full time.
Yeah.
I think you would have had Grand Rapids at the time. Maybe in between that.
I was still building it out when I quit, but we were at the stage where it was becoming apparent that within the next month or two we'd be opening. And also during the build out, I was doing as much as I could, and also still making beer full time to backlog as much as we could, so when we opened we didn't run out immediately. So it was just kind of burning the candle at both ends. But it was hard. It was harder for everybody else in my life. For me to be so ready to get rid of the steady paycheck and the full-time job. Yeah. I was fully committed and knew exactly what I wanted to do. And yes, it's scary because you don't know what's going to happen, but it was scarier for me not to do it,
Yeah. So take COVID out, because that was its whole animal in the restaurant business as its own. But what would you say, 2016, 17, when you kind of got into this to now? What has changed in the hospitality, restaurant, bar business?
Honestly, that entire time frame, even leaving out COVID, has seemed to go by so quickly. It's hard to, it doesn't even feel like it's been that long, as long as it actually has been. So there's not a lot on the surface, other than I will say that the way people are reacting to things is a lot faster now. I feel like the trends used to kind of last a little longer, and now I'm seeing things and there's people that are reviewing things left and right online. And if you got a hot item, people are coming real quick, so you can get a lot of customers real quick, and you can lose a lot of customers really fast. But I think for the most part, what has substance and what works will never go out of style in this business, which is, having good food and good customer service and a nice ambiance in a place that people like to hang out at.
Yeah. So with that being said, you mentioned location, Grand Rapids. Usually when I came up to this way and I said, I'm going to Grand Rapids or I'm going to this, like, oh, you're going to Michigan?
Yeah.
People don't reference that, and being here, living here now, obviously know kind of what a gem it is.
Yeah.
There, what's it like having your business in that town?
It is interesting because of all the things you just said. I get a ton of that. And we did open a second location in Toledo, and it was like, great, same thing. Where is Grand Rapids? And there's people, and I'm guilty of it too, except for when I moved out here to BG to work at Wood County, I was in between, I'm in the country BG, or out in the farm fields out here, so I'm closer to Grand Rapids, Ohio than I am. So the closest, Dollar General or gas station to me was out there, so I became a frequent visitor. And it's a beautiful spot, and it amazed me that more people it wasn't on their radar. But then once I started doing business in that town, I started realizing why, and it's very much because that group of people, especially back then, wanted to keep it a very well-kept secret because it's beautiful, and they didn't want it to become an overrun little touristy town, and rightfully so. So,
yeah. On your business journey, I'm sure you've learned a lot. What to do, what not to do, what to keep doing. If you would go back and start over, anything that sticks out that you would change or not do? Wish you did differently?
Well, I mean, you could do that to yourself all day and night. I honestly, I think a lot of great ideas and great businesses have died in the planning stage. So at that point, when I've already had tried to start little things here and there with other people that's what's happened. And, I knew I had the basics down. I knew what I was making was good and what I wanted to sell, and we had a story. And so, yeah, could I go back and fix where I had tables? And not to mention, I mean, you've been to Wild Side throughout the years. It has changed. It changes every 6 months.
Sure.
And every time I get a little nest egg of money that we've made, I end up re-spending it back on more equipment or moving things around or revamping something or putting a new piece of equipment in the kitchen to make new stuff. And that's because yes, it wasn't perfect when we first started off doing it, but I think if you're aiming for perfection, then you're gonna miss out on a lot of time that you could have just let the waves start rolling, because all that stuff will get washed out anyway.
Yeah. So if we fast forward to today, you mentioned a lot of changes, changes 6 months. A lot of things in the, economically rising food costs, hard to find good people. A lot of things that other businesses like yours may have failed in the last 4 or 5 years, dealing with some of those. What do you think the key to your success is, or managing kind of through? I'm sure you're not, immune to higher food costs and those things.
Oh, yeah.
How do you help manage that?
Well, as far as the food costs go, that was a real roller coaster after COVID. That was the one thing COVID really, really screwed up. And then now they haven't really ever come back down. But that's one of those things where you just kind of manage. You're going to take the brunt of that as the business owner for a while, because you can't just overnight raise your prices, and it costs money to change your menu. Menus are $1,000 to print.
That's not something you're changing every day.
It's not something you can change every day. So you're already kind of padded in the pricing for that. As far as employees go, I think one of the strongest points I have as a business owner is my ability to hire and then build the culture that we have here and maintain it so that people want to work at Wild Side Brewing Company. I maintain, especially above what the industry standards is, and it also being in around a college town or being in downtown Toledo, I've had some of the same employees work for me for 3-4 years at a time, which is rare in this business. And but we also pay a little bit more on average than everybody else. But our customers are better, their culture's better. We have a good time together, and we all are working towards the same thing, instead of people going to work for, whatever corporate restaurant and just not really being into what they're selling or don't care what the new menu items are. Yeah. They very much see that I'm the one that created it. Why? Well, they watch me work on it, and they are excited to help me push it as well. So
Yeah, I think for someone maybe that hasn't experienced Wild Side eating or drinking there, how would you describe your restaurant to someone to come check it out or they haven't been? How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, on paper we serve beer and pizza, which is it's not anything new. We haven't reinvented the wheel, but the way we do it is, it's the way I've always done everything. It's how I want to eat it. So we make our own dough, we make our own sauce from the best ingredients we can source, and also from places that we like to source from, because there's a whole other thing I can get into about the food distribution system and how that is kind of choking out restaurants and making us all have to taste the same food nationwide from the same national suppliers, and we're all eating the same chicken wings and the same jalapeno poppers, and it's becoming an epidemic. So I've always avoided that, even before that's gotten more and more of a problem, because I narrowed the menu down to the things that we can do there. And this is especially when we were first starting out. My kitchen was 6 by 11. It was a closet, and we could only do so much. So I wanted whatever we could do to be the best possible way we could do it. So we're using San Marzano tomatoes, which is on average, almost $8-9 more a can of tomatoes than every other can, but they're the best. They taste better. Everyone's like, "Why is this pizza so good?" I'm like, "Because we use better ingredients." And that's it's our secret, but it's not really a secret. Whatever you put into that oven will come back out to you. If you put good stuff in, good stuff comes out. If you put crap in, you get crap.
I'd say when I talk to people about Wild Side, 2 things are probably the most common: the red peppers, papado,
papado peppers,
and the pig wings.
Yeah. Those are 2 menu items that the papado peppers I knew right away I wanted, just because I had eaten those at a couple other different places, and we use the juice a lot. They're pickled papado peppers, and that brine that they come in, we use to help brine some of our meats. Like you mentioned, the pig wings and stuff like that, and then that ends up we've made drinks out of that stuff. It ends up being used in a bunch of different places, but those peppers are the perfect little vessel for all sorts of fun, and they end up in a lot of different menu items, and they are mentioned a lot for sure. You should come try them.
Yeah. They're very good. I could just eat those.
I just stuffed them with a ragu the other night, and everybody went crazy, and they had like a cheese dipping sauce. I'm just going to keep that. I'm going to be the pepper guy from now on.
Love it. Yeah. In the hospitality restaurant industry, any popular trends going on? You hit on a few that's a secret, but not really. Good quality people, quality service, treat people right. Anything from an industry you see trending good or bad right now?
The biggest thing in the last 6 months especially is the whole AI thing. And it is good and bad. I've seen it help a lot of people with being better at organization, and there's a lot of good phone answering services that can help you organize the people's calls and forward people to the right people. So there's a lot less. It streamlines a lot of that. But then on the other side of that, I see a lot of it being used for marketing, and it can be very cheesy, or it doesn't feel like you're being authentic when you're using a lot of these AI robots, especially right now. And I get a lot of the feedback for that. Because it's pretty clear when you're using a AI robot to do all of your graphics and all of your art and making your posts for you, and they all look the same, the bullet points, and they get kind of long-winded, and it just feels very robotic, and I can see that rubbing some people the wrong way, especially if for everything else you're doing in the kitchen is authentic and you're doing it the right way. If you then start pushing the message out that way, a lot of people, especially the younger generation, are not for it. So
you mentioned having another location downtown Toledo, Grand Rapids, 2 different vibes, city,
very
rural,
much so.
that. You made the choice to sell that one. Kind of what was that business decision? Obviously you as the owner wanted to maintain that image. You kind of 2 different venues. How did you manage that?
Well, what we do in Grand Rapids and was the exact same thing we did in Toledo. It was the same menu, pretty much the same drinks, outside of when we came up with some specials here and there, and it worked great. It's just that our vibe was more of a come sit down, enjoy yourself, slow down, come see Grand Rapids, Ohio, and that's how we set up the experience. And when there wasn't a big game going on, or a big event or a concert in downtown Toledo, that's exactly what people were doing. They were having a great time. Unfortunately, what downtown Toledo is set up for right now is for those events and to make as much money in as quick amount of time on those nights as possible, and turn the tables and do all that sort of thing, which we weren't necessarily set up for. We didn't fail at it. We did pretty good. We were a popular spot. It just wasn't something I like to do. That's not how I'm set up. I'm more of a come and enjoy yourself, not rush sort of person. And so, I mean, we were there for 3 years. We had a 3-year lease. We had great building owners, and that's the main reason we went down there, was to, they had a place before that wasn't working out the way they wanted it to. We went down there and anchored their building, and we built something that people like, and that's why still right now, if you go down there today, you can still get our pizza and our food items, and my team that I helped install there owns it now, and I sold that to them, and they're doing a great job. Yeah, it's awesome still. So it just wasn't personally my cup of tea as far as what I try to do, but I also have kids, and I'm 41, and they're young, and they like downtown, so
works for everybody.
Everyone's happy now.
Yeah. So with that, go the other side. Mm-hmm. If we fast forward 12 to 24 months down the road, without having a crystal ball, forward looking, what's plans for Wild Side or you?
Well, we've already started doing a lot of it. I'm expanding what we're doing in our kitchen. We've had the same base menu, which has worked great for 8 years now. And I'm just, at the risk of becoming just stagnant and bored with what I'm doing, and we've pushed the drinks as far as you can really push drinks. We make new cocktails every week. The beers are always new, and we're going to settle into a seasonal rotation. But I like to cook, and we already are throwing out a bunch of new specials. Our new menu will feature all of what we already have and just maybe 4 or 5 new items, and then we're going to hammer on specials that will change every 2 weeks or so.
Nice. Is that sounds like one of your passions of being creative, beer, food, It kind of brings all that together. Absolutely. Allows you to do what you like doing in a business that could be very monotonous, but I think with that probably keeps it.
Yeah, the food is, I found out, like I told you earlier, I started off wanting to, if you would ask me when I was 10 years old what I was going to be, I was going to be a good, musician, I was going to be a guitar player. Then when I was 15, I was going to be a writer. And what I've learned about myself is I like to be creative. I just didn't really know what my voice was going to be in those things. And I learned how to play the guitar, but I didn't really have a song that I wanted to write because I didn't have anything to say, And then same thing. I loved reading books. I liked writers, but I didn't really have a story I could write down. But when it came to making food or beer, and I've made wine and stuff like that, I always knew what my message was. And it's the same thing you get from when you go sit down at your grandma's house when she already like, come and eat. Yeah. It's just, welcome, and you're welcome here, and thanks for coming. And, basically, this is love. You know what I mean? Come join us. And that's, and whatever you do with food, it's endlessly interesting to me. You can learn all sorts of new cuisines and techniques and ingredients, and you're working with things that, are beautiful in and out of themselves. So
yeah, and like I said, you and I've worked together a handful of years, going back and seeing your culture. You talked on a few, but also in an industry comes with challenges. Managing employees, managing a lot of customer relations. I'm sure not everyone, they're always quick to complain. They never tell you all the positive things they have. They're always, quick to voice that. What concern, maybe not concerns you, but as a business owner, keeps you up at night, or that you're worried about in the business?
I guess just that people will lose track, because already you keep hearing in the news right now that the younger generation is not drinking as much. They don't go out as much. They are becoming socially isolated because of all the technology. And I hope to God that trend breaks, because while every experience when you go out isn't going to be a great one, I can't imagine what our society would be if we're all just stuck behind a tablet or a screen all the time. It is very important. And it's also, I don't think some of these younger people have are getting to learn the value of community and going out to a place and enjoying a nice meal and talking with others in a pub style setting. I think there's a reason why one of the first places built in any civilization when anybody landed on any new area or throughout history, for one of the first buildings before the church even they built was the tavern or the pub. It's because it's an important part of our culture and our and our civilization. And I hope that those trends right themselves. Whether if people don't drink as much, that's fine. Whatever those things will even themselves out. But the social isolation part is what kind of worries me.
Yeah, I'm with you. See it all too often with that certain age range of they just aren't doing things the same.
No.
So one thing I want to touch on, you mentioned tight-knit community in Grand Rapids. We've chatted. I think you recently had a Christmas event where you and other downtown businesses got Santa and did things for families.
Yeah.
Anything else that sticks out that you've been able with Wild Side and other businesses in town to bring the community together even more than it already is?
Well, that's the great thing about being in a small town. It is a tight-knit community, but it's also easy to rally the troops if everyone has an idea or a goal that we want to achieve together. Right now, the next thing that I'm looking forward to is getting a Dora Pass there, which even though we're a small town, we have a beautiful it's a historic canal town for anybody who doesn't know, and it's one of the last Erie lock canal systems that existed, and it's still functioning today. You can see the donkey run down the towpath and carry the boat, and it's really, really cool to go check out. But it's a historic little shopping, we have shops everywhere, and the restaurants are all on Front Street right along the river, and it will make a really, really nice just walking area for families and people coming out for a nice date, and hopefully in the next month or two that'll be passed.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, because I think that, again, in the summer months, probably more ideal than not. But I just think that whole, if you can take it, because would you be able to go on the towpath with it, right?
That is how the plan was written up right now, and it should be approved based on what I've been hearing from everybody on the council. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully we were hoping that would be passed by December because we want to do a winter fest. Because it's obviously more ideal in the summer, but even right now, when there's not a bunch of snow and ice in the ground, we were going to set up a tent and have a nice little, because Perrysburg and down, and even Bowling Green have done really nice winter fests and stuff like that, and have ice carvings, and because it's beautiful even in the winter down there.
Yeah,
that'll be our goal for next year.
Very cool. And one thing before we wrap up and get through some what's your favorite beer and all that good stuff. One of the instances that we probably got to see how insurance unfortunately worked in your situation of maybe just explain that situation. What happened on the sad day?
I don't remember what year it was, but whatever year it was and whatever day, we had a little offshoot brewing area where we had all of our barrels, and this was
finished product, right?
Finished product, and where we brew on one side and then our finished product would sit on the other of this building that was a few buildings down from our main bar and restaurant location. And we went in one day to start the day, and the back window was broken out and smashed in, and there was what looked like one or more people, maybe some kids or something, were in there, and we're drinking through a hose out of the barrels, and we're spilling stuff, and kind of vandalized the area. Which at first I was like, oh man, damn.
Maybe a barrel too.
Yeah, whatever. But then when we realized what was open and what could have been tampered with, or if someone could have dumped something in these, because everything we brew is in barrels when it's a finished product. We don't keep anything in these stainless steel tanks, and even if we did, you could open up those too, and if someone got into your area. So anyway, once we had the cops come in and file the police report, we were stuck with what to do with all this finished product, and if we couldn't use it, how much that would hinder our business in the future, because that was almost like a third or maybe more of what our finished product was going to be for the next however many months.
Right.
So and then you guys came in and we figured we'll reimburse you for it, but then we have to dump what's in here. So we spent a whole day dumping out barrels of beer, which was sad. It was a sad moment in beer history.
But a good day, I think, back to your business journey of having that much finished product, planning for your future, coming in, I think it was coming into the spring, summer months.
That's about right.
And I think the key to that, which, was a good thing we had, is, your cost to produce it was X, but we were able to pay you and reimburse you on what you could sell it for to get you back, because that's
Right.
what your business was.
Before that day, if anybody asked me about insurance, I'd be like, man, it's a giant waste of money. After that day, be fully insured on everything you can, because you never know what's going to happen.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
So, that I think that was a unique thing, because it doesn't happen every day, and hopefully it never happens again, but
for
if
sure
it does, kind of a unique experience. So, now the fun stuff.
All right.
Favorite beer to brew?
The bigger ones. Anything that takes more ingredients is always more fun. The ones that are more popular, like the lagers and the lighter beers and the wheats, those are like maybe 1 or 2 additions, and it can be just, it's a lot of
What's an example?
A lot of sitting. So if you're making a light lager, you're basically taking, your barley, and you add it and you hit your temperature, and then you just wait until the session is done, and then the fermentation goes on. When you're doing a stout, there's multiple different malts and barleys and wheats and caramelized things you can add. And then there's also hop additions. So there's something to do. So if you boil on average your wort for 60 minutes, there's, with a lager, there's 1 addition. And it's right at the beginning, and then you just sit there for 60 minutes. But with the other ones, there's a lot of stuff to add, and there's timing, and you've got a lot of timers going, and there's a lot of more thought that goes into that.
Any favorites or most popular amongst consumers that stick out over your years?
I keep getting, what was funny is we started off as a sour only. We never planned to be sour only, but we were sour beers only at first, and then we started brewing more of the and getting more of them out of the IPAs and the other stuff. But everyone was like sours, and I had a very niche, the nerdiest of the nerdy craft beer guys that really love the sours, and that's how I started in my barn. So, that was my favorite beer style. But as we got more and more popular, I had to spend way more of my time making the other things, because those sell at a much higher pitch. But now I get like a sour like quarterly or 2, and everyone's like, "Where's all the sours?" And which is ironic, because nobody wanted or cared at the first couple of years.
Yeah. Interesting how it changes.
Yeah, so now I think my favorite's always been brew the sours, and I gotta get back on board with that, because the people are demanding it, and in this business you gotta listen to the folks. So,
favorite spirit cocktail?
Like a favorite spirit favorite spirit is bourbon.
Okay.
Whiskey and bourbon, specifically bourbon. Maybe leaning towards right. It depends on the night, but in that family. Favorite cocktail? Man, the next one. But no, if I had to choose one, I would probably go with. I'm really into paper planes right now. If I had a tiki cocktail, I really like a painkiller. If
spirits in that?
That's a rum drink,
rum, okay.
And it's more of a tiki cocktail, so it's a little bit more, fruity and colorful and all that other stuff. But anywhere I go, if I see you have a painkiller on the menu, I'm trying it. So I guess I say painkiller.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Any interesting stories stick out with you over your years from a customer standpoint? Something someone said, did?
Oh man, there's been a billion of those. I will say that the most interesting night is always the same night every year. And it's the day before our Apple Butter Fest. And that's because in Grand Rapids, Ohio, that's a big Apple Butter Fest, always the first Sunday, or maybe the second Sunday. Oh my God, I'm getting in trouble for not remembering. It's one of the first Sundays in October every year. But the night before, there's a lot of the Historical Society sets up all along the river these historical reenactments. So we have like this, the French Indian War, Civil War. We go through the whole gamut. But what happens is we get a bunch of in character, Union and Confederate soldiers, and then Abraham Lincoln and all these things, and they all come into the bar and drink the night before, and it's funny. It's just a good time. So if you want to see that, if you want to go drink with Abraham Lincoln, come over Saturday.
Night before first or second Sunday.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Well, let's come every Saturday in October. You'll see something.
And maybe next year with Dora, you can walk around with them.
Yeah, we can go camp. We'll go camp with them. We'll go camp with Lincoln.
There you go.
Yeah.
Favorite sports team?
Oh, Detroit Tigers.
Favorite football team?
Detroit Lions.
Were you at any of their World Series games?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How many games a year do you go to?
I'm a season ticket holder, which is not good when you live an hour and 20 minutes away. But I don't go to every game. But last year I was at least 30, which is a lot.
That's a lot of baseball.
That's a lot of baseball. And then they broke my heart.
There's always next year.
There is. I've been saying that for a while. They're always next year.
Last time we chatted, you shared something with me that I wasn't expecting. and that is the sport of horse racing.
Oh yeah, I'm into that. I'm into that now too. Sport of kings. I have a little share of a horse. I'm into the owner's circle now. If my horse ever wins, he's 0-1 right now, but he's just starting off. He's a little 2-year-old colt named Tapcon. Check him out if you ever see him out there. Put some money on him, please.
Love it. That's awesome. Anything else as we wrap up that we would share with anyone? If someone's out there wanting to start a restaurant, wanting to get on their own, kind of similar to you, want this creative, get out, what would you tell them?
I would say if you're the type of person that wants to do this, you're going to have a lot of people that tell you not to. And you would probably be financially and mentally and physically better off by listening to them. But don't, and do what you want anyway, and just go for it. That's what I would say, because it's fun, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
It's awesome. Thanks for time. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Thanks for joining in on Beyond the Policy. Catch you next time.
Thanks for hanging out with me on Beyond the Policy. If you got something out of today's conversation, pass it along to a friend, client, or colleague who might enjoy it too. You can always connect with me through the show notes or on LinkedIn. And remember, the best coverage always starts with the right conversations. Until next time, be better.